Well, good afternoon, my friends. I am back for one more episode of teaching on this Hardanger sampler stitch along. It occurred to me yesterday that despite all of this, I hadn't shown you how to cut, how to wrap, but most importantly, this space right here needs a Greek cross. And I'm going to wager that there are people out there that do not know how to do this. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then this will conclude the actual parts of the stitch along. And from this point forward, I think it's Thursdays, I will do a stitch with me, a Hardanger stitch with me on Thursdays, or I will have it post on a Thursday so that we can just stitch together, finish out this sampler, maybe start another one, or however it turns out to be. But I will do a regular Hardanger stitch with me on Thursdays, life permitting. Let me just add that in there, life permitting, because we all know how at times life just gets in the way of what we're going to do. Okay, so with that, let's start cutting. I know you all are going, oh my God, I never cut before. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any gentlemen out there doing this, the first cut's the hardest. After that, they get progressively easier because you get more confidence in what you're doing. Now, what you need is a very good pair of scissors. Okay, these happen to be Dovo scissors, and they are Solingen, I can never say that, made in Germany. And these are Dovo number 44. Now, the unfortunate part of that is this was Dovo's Hardanger scissors. But we know, or at least most of us know, that Dovo is no longer making scissors. So what you need to look for in a scissors is sharp points and sharp blades. You want a thin blade, see, that's not overly thick. You want a thin blade, and you want it sharp to the end. Okay? So that's what you need to cut. To wrap, you use your smaller size pearl cotton. This is size 12 because I did this on 32 count Lugana. Oh my goodness, I had to stop and think. So I'm using size 12 for the wrappings. So let's move on with the cutting. Now, do you all remember in other videos of Hardanger where I had the series of Hardanger basics? This same information is in that video also on cutting and wrapping. Pardon me. That same information is in there. If you've watched that, you're probably already ahead of the game. The easiest way to remember where to cut correctly is you are trimming the baby's toes. So if you think of your cluster block as this along here are toes. There's no toes along this edge. But here there's toes. Here there's toes. Here there's toes. And here there's toes. So, according to our chart, let me find the right one. Okay. Look, I have them all separated out and clipped together. According to our chart, we need to cut here, this out. We need to cut this out. So we're going to cut all 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're just going to be left empty. We're going to cut this out, and this is where the Greek cross is going to go. So I'm going to show you that first, but let's cut. And when we cut here in this one, there is something that you will need to be very conscious of. But let's do the easy ones first. So we're going to cut the toes. The other thing is, before I do these first cuts, is if you have this in a hoop, on a Q-snap, on a scroll frame, some type of frame that you are stitching on while you have stitched all the satin stitch work, loosen it or take it off. You don't want your fabric stretched when you cut, because what's going to happen is your fabric threads are already stretched. So you're going to cut here, and when you release the tension, you might have ends sticking out or ends going back up in, and it just kind of messes up your blocks. So do your cutting with your fabric at ease, where it's not being pulled in any one direction by anything. Okay, so I hold it in my hand. Now, we need to cut all of these threads here away. All right, the easiest thing to do is put your scissors, hopefully I'm going to stay in the frame. Put your scissors down at the bottom of the first satin stitch. See that? Some people prefer to cut the threads one at a time. In all honesty, if you're doing a huge piece and you're cutting threads one at a time, it's going to take you forever. So put it down under the first satin stitch of that cluster block, and then bring your scissors up so that you have 4 fabric threads on your scissors. Can you count them? 1, 2, 3, 4. Check again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I under the toes? Yes. Okay. Sometimes I give it a little wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Okay. Take a deep breath. Close that scissors and cut. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you have just made your first cut. Okay. Now, one would think that, okay, I should go here, then here, then here. I should cut this one, then this one, then this one. I'm going to disagree with that and say, don't do it that way. There are no rules. You can do it as you wish. I'm just going to point this out, that this is, how can I say, a less floppy way to handle these threads as they're being cut. So I'm going to go in over here, and pardon my shakiness, and I'm going to come up, count 4 threads, and come up. Sometimes you gotta finagle a little bit to get it right, to get in the right hole. There. And double check. I have 4. One's kind of hiding there, but I have 4. You see it? Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut. Now, just to show you, I have cut over here. Let me take a needle and do it. And a cut over here. So these 2 sides are cut. Okay, so do you see how that controls these threads? And I'm going to show you, you'll see why when we have to cut the last one. Okay. So this next cut is going to be pretty easy also. You already have your opening made. So you're just going to turn your work a little bit so that you can stay in the frame here. And you're going to put your scissors in. Do the same thing. Come up 4 threads away. And cut. Now, do you see what happens? This is a little floppy flap. Okay, but we need to cut those off. So if you would have cut here and here already for this third cut, your threads would start getting really floppy. This way, we're only dealing with it once. So I'm going to do the same thing as best I can. Hold them in place so that they don't get in your way. Put your scissors and cut. Like I said, this side is a little bit tricky, but you can do it. And if you have to go back and trim them off a little bit, then you go back and trim them off. Okay. But that gives us our... Now, I would not worry about these little pieces that kind of stick up. I mean, you can go back in and try and... Well, that was just a loose one there. You can go back in and try and trim this a little bit more if you want. There we go. But what will happen when you wash this, those little points will slip right in. So that's how you cut these kind. Okay? You cut one side, you cut the opposite side, you cut either the top or the bottom, and then you cut the opposite side till you have a hole. So you're going to cut the same thing here, here, and here. This block is just a smidge tricky because this is going to need this Greek cross. You're not going to cut these center 4 threads. So you have 2 cluster blocks side by side, and then these center threads do not cut, or you will not be able to make this Greek cross. Do not cut. So where you are going to cut is, okay, let me do it this way, is along here, 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 and here, so that you will have 4 fabric threads going this way, 4 fabric threads going this way. And that's what we're going to use to make a Greek cross. So let's see how we do that. All right. And again, cutting gets easier the more you do it. You will be holding your breath for a while, I guarantee. Now, what I find easiest is to cut into the corner. So I'm going to be flipping work quite a bit to be able to cut into the corner. If you try and cut out from the corner, sometimes you end up clipping one of these 4 threads, and you don't want to do that. So you want to cut into the corner. So at the first, I'm going to insert my scissors at the bottom of this cluster block. I'm going to count 4 threads, 1, 2, 3, into the corner. For number 4. Someone wants to be a little persnickety. 1, 2, 3. There we go. 4. Okay. So I have my 4. And I'm going to cut. Okay. Now, since I like to cut into the corner, I've already cut here. I need to cut here. So I'm going to turn my work this way. And I'm going to cut into this corner, going under this first first satin stitch. And coming up in the corner so that I have four threads, and I'm going to cut. And that one didn't cut, so we'll just trim that like so. So now you have one floppy corner. See? And if you've missed one, you can always go back and trim it. Okay, so there that corner's cut. Now, right here is the reason your blocks need to match. Because we're going to pull these threads. They need to match these threads here so that we don't continue pulling all the way out here. And ask me how I found that out to be definitely the case. I had done a piece and I was just going away, clipping and clipping and clipping my blocks and went to pull threads. And all of a sudden, I felt my fabric starting to gather out here and I'm going, oh no. What I did was I had missed cutting the other end of it. But yeah, you don't want that to happen. Okay. So now we're going to do this corner. So we're going to go in here, up in the corner, and cut. And each time you do it, it's going to get a little easier. In here, up in the corner, and cut. Okay, now let's do the next one. I'm sorry I have to manipulate this fabric as much as I do, but you're going to end up doing that so that you get the right angles to do your cutting. Okay. In here. Up in the corner and cut. And don't get too, if you happen to cut the wrong thread, don't get too excited because it can be repaired. And if that happens to you and that's the case, you need to message me and I will talk you through repairing it. Okay. So now we're going to go here. This is the last one. And here. And then see, what am I doing? I'm going the wrong direction. What did I told you? You're going to cut into the corner. Well, here I'm going to cheat a little bit. I have 4 and I'm going to cut. Okay. Now, see if, hold on, I think I have them in here. My little, case that I made. I don't know if I showed you that. See? Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a little, oh, I guess I don't have my tweezers in here. Okay. Nope. Okay. Maybe they're in this basket. I should have said, Karen, of course, you're not prepared again. Gosh. Hold on. I'll be right back. Wow. There they are. Sorry about that. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay. So, this is, well, this particular pair is called the Tweezers with Pinpoint Precision, but I think they're also sold under the name of Uncle Bill's Tweezers, and they come in this handy dandy little case. That's how you buy them. These tweezers are wonderful. Wonderful. And they are great for pulling, not only pulling your threads in Hardanger, but they're great for removing splinters and, other things besides just stitching. So what we want to do is grab you can do this just by hand if you so desire, but I'm going to tell you your fingers are going to get sore. So we're just going to grab the threads and pull them out. Like so. And once you get the first one done in each direction, the rest come out pretty easy. But here's the example of why your blocks need to match. Because if you've cut this one and you didn't cut it over here, and it shouldn't have been cut, you would have to reweave it. So far, we're looking good. That's the fourth one. So you see we have 4 threads left there. That's what we want. Ooh, we have 4 threads left here. That's what we want. See, these tweezers are just the bomb. 4 and 4. What's that little fuzzy there? And do pardon my shaky hands. It's an age thing. Okay, so we'll get rid of our little scraps. And now I'm going to show you how to do the Greek cross in this section. It's not hard, so relax. And don't forget, you'll have to cut these. Use your chart. It tells you which areas need to be cut. Okay. So now I am going to put this back in a hoop because I do like to use a hoop when I do the wrapping. It just helps me to keep my threads straighter and my tension even. I just find it easier that way. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to anchor your thread in the back under the cluster blocks like you do any other time when you're starting a new thread. Okay. And then I'm going to come up on the on the inside. Oops, I guess it helps if I stay in the frame. I'm going to come up here. Let me just check and make sure I have that right. It's been a while since I've done them. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to just take 2 threads and we're going to wrap around those 2 threads so that our wraps, in fact, I got to turn it this way, okay? So that our wraps are going to stay side by side. And you can pull them that they're, I want that first one to be a bit tighter. There we go. And you push this one up so it's the side of it. Okay. And it's probably going to take about 4 on, at least on this size fabric. You have to be the judge, but essentially what you're doing is wrapping about half of the bar. Then you're, like I said, okay. Then you're going to sneak over and you're going to pick up 2 threads from over here. After you have about half of the bar wrapped, you're going to go under here and sneak up between these 2. Okay, so that's going to pull on that. Now you're going to figure 8 between these 2 spots. Okay, so you're going to do that over, under, over, under, over, under. So you're going to make essentially like a little fan. Okay. And you're going to wrap it again about halfway, or I could have pulled these a little bit tighter. But you see how you're getting like a little fan here? Oh, I'm going to unwrap that one because do you see what I did? I caught that fabric thread that I do not want in. So we're keeping it real, folks. These are mistakes that are not mistakes, but things that might happen to you. Okay. So we're going to do that again and try not to catch the ones that you don't want in this. Oh. Okay. It's a little, I'm trying to keep it so that you can see what I'm doing, but yet I can have somewhat of a comfort level. Okay, so we're going to call that, okay, that's enough. It's about half of, let's do one more. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it this way and I'm going to continue to wrap this bar out to the end. And like I said, you want your stitches to lay side by side. Okay. So that one, yeah, that needs to be up there. Stop wanting to get down underneath there. Push this one down. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go back in here one more time, but then I'm going to come out over here in this next quadrant, I'll call it. Okay, so there you have one part of a Greek cross. Now you're going to do the same thing here. Okay, and like I said, I have not done these for a while, so I'm a little bit rusty, but I did want to show you how to do it. And that's part of my trouble. Now, oops, coming off. So there's one wrap. And remember, your thumb is your friend. 2 wraps. Three wraps. See how you can pull it a bit tighter if you lay your thumb on top? Push this down so it stays at the right place. 4 wraps. Okay, now we're going to start the fan part again. So we're going to go down here. Boy, my hands are shaky today. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's 1 wrap. Here's 2. Okay, we're just gonna continue back and forth like this. I should have counted how many of these I put on, and I did not, so we're just gonna eyeball it to fill about half of our area. And see how your tension makes a difference? This one I'm pulling a bit harder than I did this one. Your tension will make a big difference. Okay. Now let's wrap this out to the end. And then move over this one. So when you move over to the next one, what you're doing is you're pulling this end together. Okay. All right. This one could have been a little better. But it had to get back in the groove again. Okay, there's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. Here's 4. Now we'll start this. And again, I didn't count them. Okay, silly. 1. And once again, the degree of difficulty here is that these stitches are not really hard to do. Again, it's really a matter of having simple stitches that in the combinations make beautiful things. When you think about it, I mean, seriously, think back and go, how many of the stitches that I had to learn for this stitch along were difficult in and of themselves, each one individually? How many of them were difficult? I'm apt to say probably none of them were difficult to learn. Okay, cloister blocks. Really, seriously? 5 satin stitches over 4 fabric threads. That's not hard. Okay, I wish I would have pulled this one a little bit tighter, but that's really how they're supposed to look. But I digress. Eyelets. Well, I'm going to guess each and every one of you already knew how to do an eyelet before you before you said you wanted to participate in this stitch along. I'm going to guess that you already knew how to do that. You already knew how to do satin stitches. How hard was it to learn a four-sided stitch? Depending on what you stitched prior to picking up Hardanger, if you stitch samplers, a four-sided stitch is probably something that you've stitched before. It's not hard. It has a sequence. You learn the sequence and it's all a piece of cake from there. Okay, so what other stitches? Oh, the double cable stitch, that one might have taken you a little bit to learn, but in the grand scheme of things, again, it wasn't hard. And the hardest part of a double cable stitch is turning a corner. Okay, going up one side and down the other. That's the hardest part of how do I perform that turn or that angle. That's the hardest part. What else did we do? Really, seriously, that's all the stitches that there were. Again, none of them terribly difficult. None of them, well, I can sit here and say they aren't difficult, but I've been doing them for years. But for a new person, no, they're not difficult. Now, just to join these together, I'm going to do one wrap around here. Okay. So that I can pinch the, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Forget it. Don't do that. I don't like how that's going to look. So really what we've done is there's your Greek cross. Was that hard? Oh, come on now. No, it really wasn't. You can do it. You can do it. So now you're just going to take this thread to the back, end it off, and that filling stitch is done. Okay, I'll go back and after this and cut those threads. I'll go back and end this off. Let me see. Block number 2, and you can easily handle doing this. I believe what you're going to do is, yes, you're going to cut out the centers. You're going to cut out the centers in all of these. Just follow your charts. And you're going to put in dove's eyes. Okay, so you're going to anchor your thread. After everything is cut, you're going to use the middle of that block. You're going to go through the fabric about the middle of that block and do the dove's eye. You don't have to end each one off, just travel to the next. Okay. Here, this block, you're going to cut just like we did the blocks up in the first one, only here you're going to cut one. I would cut here and here. Then I would cut here and here. Here, then here and here, here. Okay, just cut them in a sequence that you're not going to have floppy threads flopping around and hard to control, so that you can cut the rest. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You can do it. Again, what did I say? Did I say Tuesday or Thursday? I think Thursdays. Thursdays is going to be a Hardanger stitch along. So you can always ask questions. Now the stitch alongs are going to be pre-recorded, but you can always put your questions in the comment box. You can email them to me at kbug461@comcast.net. It will be in the drop-down box. Or message me on Facebook Messenger. Or leave me a message on Instagram. Instagram, I'm NeedleBugg, but I can't remember. There might be a number behind it, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. But there are ways to get in touch with me, and I can walk you through it. If need be, we can do a video call and get you through it. Only those need to be pre-scheduled. That's not a problem. But I have faith in each and every one of you that are participating in this, that you can do it. Take your time, one stitch at a time. Don't be tired. Don't be stressed. Be calm, relaxed, and you can do this. I know you can. Every one of you can do this, because the bottom line is, I taught this to myself with a little bit of guidance from a mentor. But basically, I am self-taught. Therefore, if I can do it, you can do it. Beyond a doubt. So with that, my friends, this will conclude the formal teaching sessions of this Mary Hickmott Stitch Along. Look forward, as I will, to the up and coming Stitch Alongs that will be on Thursday. And until then, I will see you on Thursday. Have a great day and stitch your little heart out, and let's get this piece finished. Okay, have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.